Hey folks, we're going to continue doing some art production here today. We're going to work on the book cover here by Joseph Vargas, Ukulele Bard, Reclaimant, about nature and supernatural forces fighting back against mankind's advancement in the Industrial Revolution. So right now we're going to continue illustrating this etheric yggdrasil over this landscape environment. Give me a second here to boost my signal here real quick and to check my signal, do my intro spiel, and then we'll dive into this for a couple hours. So hold on real quick, checking on, check. Hold on, checking on, check. Sounds clean to me. And boop. All right, so hey, my name is Phil Kearney. Something weird is happening here. Okay, cool. My name is Phil. Hey, I create role-playing game supplements and I illustrate them. You can see a lot of the books that I've created for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in the links down below. There's probably about 150 different illustrations amongst the book covers and all the interior artwork and tokens that are spread amongst those various works that are down below. You can follow me on Patreon at Phil Kearney. You can follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. And one more second here. Almost done with my clicking stuff here. Blip. And then burp. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm at 170 so far, so I really appreciate you guys showing up and sticking around with me. Trying to get to 1,000. I doubt I'll get there by the end of the year, but boy, wouldn't that be amazing. So we're going to instead focus on the here and now with our tree, and I'm going to set a 20-minute timer here to keep myself in pace, to make sure that I'm not losing myself in minutia that doesn't need to be minced on. I'm going to hide this layer here, hide that radiance. There we go. Okay, so we're doing, currently we are going with the references that Ukulele had provided for us here. This is an inverted image that's been color filtered a couple times to create this radiant effect, which we can duplicate fairly easily, and we are in the process of doing so. But this is where we start. That was one of the initial inspirations for the piece, and as you can see here, Yggdrasil dominating the landscape as it should. And we got up close trees here, and then as we keep pushing our way back in the painting to less and less detail, it'll really show over the mountain ridge line, over the mountain line that we eventually build here. And that's how dominant this supernatural tree is over the environment. Literally descending from heaven, taking root on earth, and unleashing hell. So it sounds like a cool game. I'm kind of looking forward to checking it out. So I say kinda because it's yet another role-playing game that seems cool that I'm compelled to check out. So that's the only regrets that I have there, is that it's just so much cool shit, only so much time in my life. But we're just going to keep hacking away at stuff. Speaking of hacking away, we are working on this tree here. We're trying to resolve the language here of how the bark would look without. We want to walk a fine line of grittiness or rough-hewn edges because of how bark works. But at the same time, I don't want it to look jaggedy. So we're taking a lot of time and care to make sure that the outline is clean. And as we continue our way through the process, we'll be able to further define the language properly and get little threads in there like that for to show little effects of bumps and bark. So this is where we're going to invest some time for the time being. I need a wider vocabulary so I don't have to say time so often. I could have just said so many times, but I already upped my game. So up your game with me, and drop a comment down below how often you say time. Oh, I'm already off the deep end, guys. This is going to be a great session. So we're going to put in probably 2 hours here. I'm going to be on vacation over the weekend, but I'll be back on Tuesday like usual. On every day in the mornings, Monday through Friday, I create Spelljammer art assets. We've just finished our 65 token block of creatures, characters, and ships that are in the Spelljammer's Adventures in Space and Light of Xeraxis. So, whew, man, that was a colossal lift. But now we actually get to go into the 108-page document and start painting directly on each page. So that's going to be the next process, which we will begin tomorrow morning. We'll have maybe 2 hours of stream in the morning, and we'll no longer be doing tokens. We'll be doing actual page art from now on, and so we'll do that for a couple hours in the morning, and then I'll bounce on vacation, and then when I come back Tuesday morning, we will continue that. There's going to be a mixture of different tables, charts, and actual illustrations to depict the different types of maneuvers and combat options in the Spelljammer ship combat section that we created, as well as just flavor illustrations to try to get the mood and have some narration behind the mechanics we have for both combat and exploration, as well as hazards and different just creatures, different exploration options that are throughout a normal campaign that would be set in space for Dungeons and Dragons. So, would love to have you like and subscribe. Stick around, check it out. When we start doing illustrations, it's going to be all very intuitive, off the cuff, and it's awesome when I have people around throwing out ideas about, like, what kind of coat of arms should be on a shield, or what kind of ship or weapons should be depicted in a particular illustration. Audience engagement, it's super cool. I love that interaction, and it's really fun when people that are interested in the setting swing by and offer some thoughts. I love that stuff. Plus, since we'll be illustrating the pages themselves, we'll actually be able to look at the mechanics and have more points of conversation about what this Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book will offer that isn't already out there on the market. Like, why is this relevant? Why is it worth your time to look at? So I'm excited. God, I'm really, really excited. All the cool crap we can do once this book publishes. I'm so excited. But right now we're working on a commission. It's less about me. Let's talk about me. So I'm working on this book cover here, Yggdrasil. I've never done a world tree setting. I've done settings with massive world trees, but nothing supernatural that spanned multiverses, for instance, which is, I think, something that I would really enjoy getting, sinking my teeth into as a DM. Yeah, we're just tracing along the outside just to make sure that the actual outline looks okay. But we're gonna be mincing on branches for the next couple hours here. So you're welcome to say what you got going on your workbench. You running a game? Are you playing? What systems are you working? How far have you gotten into it? What do you like about it? Love to hear from you. I've been DMing for the past 30 years. Well, 35 really. I got the red box set, and as well as the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide and Player's Handbook and Unearthed Arcana from a garage sale on my 13th birthday, and fell in love with the game immediately. I was already a Robotech junkie. And this is around the same time that Galaxy Rangers was playing on weekday afternoons after school. I'd race home from the bus stop to turn on Robotech and G.I. Joe and freaking Galaxy Rangers. What a setup! That lineup was so hot. I was actually a really big pole position fan. That was like 91, I want to say. Yeah, pole position was cool, man. Pole position was Mask before Mask existed, so I guess it was probably 85. Yeah, pole position was dope. These branches are very heavy in line weight, so I'm a little concerned about it unbalancing the piece. I do like the flow though, so I think I'm just gonna keep my attention down here in the trunk for a while until I'm really satisfied with how this sits, and then we can start pushing our way up into the branches and resolve the language there. There's so many moving parts inside of this tree that it pulls my attention around. It's like everything's a shiny bauble, and I just wanna mess around and attune to everything. This is Epidemic Music Station. It's subscription. It's royalty-free music if you subscribe to their monthly services, which is like $8, something like that. It's pretty sick. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of different types of music, but I kind of lean myself into like kind of almost a jazz sort of feel to it. Which I am discovering as I age. I enjoy jazz more and more, and that honestly disturbs me. So I'm willing to own the truth of it, but I don't know what that says about me. I used to hate jazz. I think what it is that I've gotten really good about getting zen while I'm doing artwork. Like I can turn off my brain a lot and just let the pixels flow. And jazz is kind of that same way, how it has that creative freedom space of just kind of, that's kind of what jazz is, you know, being able to just fill the space with notes and sound and see how it all jives together with the people you're jamming with. And I get that same feeling with the easel and with the canvas here and the colors to be just kind of creating magic here. It's a lot of fun. So I think that music tone that jazz delivers, I think jives more and more with my freedom of expression and artwork here. So suitable theme music, I feel. Oh, dip. Here. So if you're new to the stream, hey, what's up? I stream 6 days a week when I'm not on vacation. So I'm about to go on vacation. I'll be absent for a couple of days, but typically a typical work week for me looks like a couple hours in the morning of doing Spelljammer art. And then on Mondays and Thursdays, I work on cartography for an Eberron adventure that I'm also going to publish on the DMsGuild with partnering with Andy Healy as well as Stuart Braz. And then Tuesday afternoons, I have a development stream for a project called Martial Powers, which provides an alternate spellcasting system for martial characters. Very, very close. It exists kind of in the space between Book of Nine Swords from 3rd edition and actual Martial Powers from 4th edition, but with a 5th edition flair, using the color mana and elemental magic systems that I've previously published on the DMsGuild, which are in the color mana system bundle down below. So that's my Tuesdays, and then on Saturdays I do book cover commissions such as Reclaimant. But I happen to have the day off because I'll be prepping to leave out of town on vacation here tomorrow. So I just decided to have a casual day off to myself to ease into not being around. And so that's typically what my Saturdays look like. For now, we're working on the Reclaimant artwork, which is the book cover we'll continue to work with until, hey, Hornetica. This will be the book cover that we continue to work with until it's finished. And sometimes I'll dip in here, but typically it's on the Saturday mornings that we put a couple hours in on here. And of course, obviously, I do a lot of production work offline as well. I just like to drop in and show you guys where I'm at with different projects and let y'all take a chew at what it is I got going on here, so you know what's in the work. Everything that I do has a massive, long production cycle. So if I don't show up and provide updates periodically, it's like, what the hell happened to Phil? Where'd he go? It's like, well, Phil's buried inside another 100-page project. There's 65 tokens for that Spelljammer supplement that we're publishing. It's the ship tokens, the creature tokens, the NPC tokens, all tokens combined in all. 60 freaking 5 tokens. That is insane. So I could just price point those tokens alone for like $35-$40. And people that are interested in Laser Access would most likely make a purchase for that. But I just want to fold it into the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we're publishing. So, like, massive added value. Text. What? Let's go. Yeah, I know, right? I feel particularly blessed to be involved in this particular piece. It's my skill set upgraded somewhere along 2023. I don't know exactly what happened. I just go through. All artists do it. They have these leveling up experiences where, well, pardon the pun, where you just log in the hours and then something reveals itself and it just converts your workflow, or like the amount of realism that you have in your piece, or you gain a better understanding of, say, lighting, color, palettes, texture, composition, positioning, emotion. There's so many different variables that an illustrator can just get good at TM over time, that it's just what's lagging behind, and what is being resolved in the background of your mind as you just sit there and push pixels. So I love it. Almost every project that I work on that's over 30 pages, I end up having some sort of an evolution during the process of that piece. And I'm really excited how swiftly I leveled up during this project, because the level up that I gained is expedience. I'm able to produce the same level of realism and depth of quality in my art pieces in about a third of the time. So I don't know how it happened, but something about just the repetition of it, the familiarity with posing, the subject matter perhaps. But there's a lot more confidence and like doing it right the first time. There's little second guessing of what I've produced, and I'm finding problems faster. So those both combined help collapse my time frames, because I know when I lay down a line, more likely than not, I'm going to be happy with what that line is expressing, and I can just leave it be, as opposed to like having to redo, the same hand 20 times or something like that. Like, it used to take me a long, like, hours to do good hand gesturing, and I mean, I can always get better, but the level of quality of just gesturing alone, or even facial expressions, is up significantly without me having to second guess the process or redo it a lot, and just the amount of detail is improved as well. So it's art is one of those things where the longer you do it, the more exciting it really becomes. If you're pushing yourself to try to be better, and you can set your own goals with art, but I always like to compare myself to the work that Wizards of the Coast pays to have published, because they're kind of the industry leader, and I'd say them and Game Workshop are probably the leaders in the industry of like high quality art. Although Pathfinder, I will say Pathfinder does have good art, but I will also say Pathfinder only pays about $350 for a page of art. So fuck you, Paizo. Fucking shilsters. It's like dog shit pay. So I was interested in working with Pathfinder for the prestige of it, but they take ownership of art, and I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up that kind of work for that little money. It's a shame when companies that you look up to just don't offer good business practices. Like compare that to Wizards of the Coast paying $2,500 for a piece of card art, whether it's a mountain land or it's some sort of like Niv Mizzet illustration or something. Pretty reliably, $2,500 for one Magic the Gathering card. Like that crushes almost everything. I think Games Workshop pays $1,300 for a book cover. It may have changed. I haven't been keeping tabs on them because I was never real. I mean, I liked the lore of Warhammer 40K specifically, but I never really dived into getting good at 40K artwork. There's a market for that stuff. If you know your shit in Warhammer, you can charge $1,000 for a good character portrait. Because that audience is used to throwing down hundreds of dollars for building points of armies. It's like that is an audience that does not mind paying for quality, and it's really appreciated. But ultimately, the fans pay better than the production company that the fans are basing their commissions off of. It's ironic. But the companies are sporting clout. 20-minute timer. Come on, dog. There. Coffee time, children. So tomorrow morning we'll come back and we'll start doing Spelljammer interior art. Well, we had a false start. We started doing some doodles on the first few pages, but then the token issue arose and we had to slam those out for the past 6 weeks. So many tokens, man. So many tokens. I'm really glad we did all that shit first. Man, you can drop that anywhere, dude. That ain't bad. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. What I'm going to do is, God damn it. I'm gonna press save and close that window. I don't know how I can never redock a window in Photoshop. It is just the biggest pain in the ass to redock anything. But what I wanted to do is use the selection tool here and cut this thing off here at the branches. Cutsy pasty. Let's see. This will help us. This will help keep us from sprawling too hard by chopping off the by chopping off the branches. I won't accidentally keep spilling up the tree into the branches, so I can complete the trunk unto itself and then legitimately move on to the branches. So. This is the tree dominates so much of the the composition that I'm spending just a ridiculous amount of time on this development in comparison to what I would normally do with a tree. So normally Bob Rossing a tree is it's just basically wagging your brush at the canvas up and down a little bit and then tapping at it a little bit and then moving on to the next thing. Like there's not this intense level of geomorphic shaping that we're processing right now, but it's such a it's the center focus. It's like the intention of the piece. So I have to put a lot more effort and attention into the details than I would under, like you'll see me doing half-assed Bob Ross stuff like this. Like this is like 30 seconds worth of work. That's garbage. We will swap that out with some quality bobbage. I love doing landscape paintings. If you check out the Odyssey anthology on the DMsGuild, it's a slew of one-shot adventures that can be expanded, but there's about 30 of them spanning from level 1 to 20 amongst different in the Theros. It's in the Theros campaign setting, and each adventure takes place on a different island. So you can literally string adventures together by making little archipelagos of adventure content. And one of the Stolen Compass is a collection of those archipelagos into a string of adventures for 4th to 7th level characters, I believe. And but each island has a different environment, and it was my job in that project to create unique island art for every single one of the 30 adventures. So that is that also recently went gold, but it's not my project. So it's I can only claim an assist on that project, but it was hella fun to do. If it's a landscape project, chances are I'm going to get suckered into doing that. And I hate admitting that live on stream, but at the same time, I love doing landscapes. It is the most organic, freeing experience for me to be able to just produce work like this, because it, for the most part, it's just zen time for my brain, because I don't have to think about. I really don't think a lot about the how the different organic pieces slide into the piece. Like the, how am I trying to say, the composition requires brain power, but once the composition is set, the muscle memory basically feeds in all of the details and all of the pixels to make the thing work. But I've done like 130 of these things, so I'm pretty good at being able to punch through Bob Ross style landscape and compositions and environments. So, and this shit consistently looks amazing no matter what medium you're working. It just happens I know how to do it in digital, and it'll be fun once we get out of this tree and we start pushing our way through the landscape. Like we'll build mountains here, and then we'll have hills, and then we'll have the foreground. So it'll just keep moving forward in the piece, just like you see with Bob Ross. You build your clouds first, and then you build your like background horizon line of mountains, and then rolling hills that move forward. And as you move forward, it moves away from just splotches of color into actual texture, into detail in the foreground, like bushes and stuff that we'll have here in the foreground in the end. But it's a process. So, and this as a fantasy piece has more defined elements than just raw forest or plains or river. So there's a lot more attention to detail, and there's a lot more complexity in the piece, which is the fun part. That's the other type of fun. the challenge of building a composition that, like I say, illustration is problem solving, and we're trying to find a way to express the flavor of this game in the book cover without just being like a guy with a sword attacking a fairy dragon or something like that. You know, it's like that's not the core of the adventure. Setting the mood of the environment, of the setting on the cover, is often a really good way to approach it when you're looking at like a world conflict that this Reclaimant RPG is representing, that supernatural battle of man versus industrialization, which is actually a very Studio Ghibli sort of theme. I'd be stoked if Joe ends up picking up a bunch of anime style art to depict the characters and creatures inside of this new role-playing game. That just feels the most intuitive to me. But we'll see. We'll see what he can fetch. Hopefully the Spelljammer book, when it publishes, will help elevate his efforts. Yeah, I'd say you're right. It is underappreciated. Okay, so a good anime artist has fucking fantastic understanding of anatomy. Like the anime expressionism, I guess, if the expression that you get out of anime characters is only present because a good artist understands body posturing, proportions, energy and pose. And the facial expressions is just kind of an over exaggeration of natural features that we already possess. It's both simplified and deeper complexity than a lot of different styles of illustration. Like the body anatomy, if it's done well, it's top fucking rank, and it's just the face with its more simplified elements is you kind of have to be on board with it. You know, you have to appreciate that style of art at all to really be able to admire the quality. Like if you don't like the aesthetics of it, it's more difficult to admire the skill that goes into it, because you don't want to stare at it. You kind of have to stare at a piece to really be able to appreciate what the creator actually put together. But if you don't like how it looks, you're not going to spend that time studying it unless you're intending to be critical, and then you should really go invest your time in something that you appreciate instead of hate. But I don't know why. It's I mean, Japanese RPGs are full of it. You can good luck finding anything that's not anime. And there's so many good D&D animes out there. Like Record of Lodoss War is like the grandmother of D&D Jap anime. And it's freaking awesome. If you haven't seen Lodoss War, it's actually really, really cool. I remember watching that like back in '96. It had already been out for a few years. Lodoss War is old. Escaflowne too, man. Holy crap. Escaflowne was a killer cartoon. But there's a lot of 90s era anime that was super cool. Like a lot of really, really cool anime came out of the 90s. Right before the computer animation started invading the mech design and the mech illustrations, the structural stuff, all that hand-drawn work was just freaking exquisite. You really like Masamune Shiro, his Ghost in the Shell work is just it's more effort, but they did not need computer animation at all to make their mech look amazing. TTRPGs have a very distinct style. Yeah. I'm surprised it doesn't appear more frequently in D&D books. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess, I mean, there's always just like a trade dress, books have a look. And Wizards, with their magic art, has always leaned towards realism in their fantasy depictions, even though the Japanese audience, the Japanese releases all have JRPG stuff in it and separate artists. But I don't know. I don't know if they would ever be actually willing to do manga style in an official Wizards product. I think it's having Ditterlizzy go back and doing the Planescape art is a great idea. It's a red flag for sure because of how WotC is. It's kind of virtual signaling that they're going to unvirtuous signaling that they're going to phone in the setting and market nostalgia over quality, just like they had to do with Spelljammer, because what a dog shit product that ended up being. And they're using the same format for Planescape as they did for Spelljammer. So considering it's part of the same development cycle, I'm going to have to assume it's the same. Thank you. That's the same garbage in general. So smart move putting Ditterlizzy into it, because that just drops it straight into nostalgia. And if that's what they're leaning into, then that's the kind of decision that they have to make to be able to pull it off, I think. Says I. Arr. Says I. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. So I think I can let that sit now. Tempted to put another little tree camp on that ledge over there, but I'm going to avoid it. There. But this would be another really good spot for a trunk. Well, I guess I'm going to then. Okay. Whatever. Yeah, I like it. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, these things alone are fucking massive. Like compared to the mountain that's going to be back here, like this is like a 2,000 foot tall tree unto itself, right? And this is also 2,000 feet. So you can see it's just pushing further and further into the sky. And like the tree itself doesn't look smaller, but anyway, hopefully it ends up playing off the way I hope it does. Hopefully it does what I hope it does. Hope. Let's create a new group here and we'll call it line art, just to make sure that I don't get lost in my own sauce. So let's pull that chunk back in here real quick. Blip blop. All right, now we have to worry about line weight. So let's so we have like these branches are way too freaking thick compared to the trunk language that we have here. So what I need to do is thin it down. So let's thin it down. We also have to be mindful of the title. Like, I don't need this much branch language so close to the title block. I'm going to try to clear some space around it. Be mindful. So, like, when we actually do this, we're going to have some radiance here. And then there's going to be the interior glow. And then over radiance. So that's what it's going to end up bleeding out like. You know, creating the light source for the entire piece. So by the time you get up into here, you don't need detail. It's just washed out. I also happen to like how this looks like the sky is pouring energy out, like out of the sky into the ground. Because that's the way he expresses, like, that yggdrasil descends to the planet. It's a tree, obviously, that's rooted upward, but the way that the lighting works when you look at it afar, I feel like it's like a sky waterfall that's just dumping radiance onto the planet like a waterfall into this water here. So that was why I was so motivated to keep this over the water line here and to have the rippling effect going out, because it just feels like a waterfall to me anyway. It feels like a waterfall of energy. and I think that's the vibe that Ukulele was going for. So very, very, very happy with that. But that also means we don't have to slaughter ourselves on foliage up here. We just need to make sure that the branches reaching up look good. And by having these little spike things here, it looks like this starts to mimic the tufts of the clouds that we have here in the background. And then once we get through that point, we do something like that, adding the reflection of the radiance off of the tree line, off the cloud covers itself. So it ends up looking kind of like that, but I'm not 100% happy with that. But that's the kind of highlighting that I'm looking for, and I think that's going to. I think I want to actually work the radiance of this cloud fluff into reflecting the language of the branches. So I'm going to finish the branches first, and then go in and redo these highlights. But that was just these are just a quick sample, like sort of thing, like to demonstrate how this stuff looks. But I think it's all going to pull together really nicely. So far so good. Anyway, yeah, this will be an issue of restraint. Will be my what am I trying to say? My challenge will be restraint and keeping it from oversaturating with overexposure, too much light. Keeping it reined in so that the aesthetic of Radiance gets depicted properly without, like I said, overexposing the piece so you lose all the details. So like all this cloud tuft work, if I put highlights on them, if I overdo it, I'm just basically painting over all of them. What's the point? So anyway, I'm obviously procrastinating right now. Anyone that caught that sense is honestly very wise. So well done. Very well done. But I'm using these lines through here as like as the thickest that this branch language should be expressed. I actually want to thin it down a little bit here. You can see like this half circle effect creates the illusion of pushing this branch forward, because it's just using language differently from the other branches around it. So I can't have it be too thick, otherwise it won't properly integrate with the bark that it's building out from. Which is why I'm being such a stickler about talking about the weight of the bark moving up the tree. Because I'm going to have a tendency to want to continue to thicken the line of these branches as I move out, because it just, the weight of them makes me want to add weight to the lines, because the branches are heavy, but they can't outweigh the trunk. So it's moving pieces. We gotta have them all move together. I didn't do a lot of promotion for the stream that we're in right now. I just kicked it out to a couple of the Discords that I hang out at. But for anyone that's lurking and hanging out for the first time, hey, there's a link to my Twitter feed in the description down below. That is one of the best ways to know when I'm going live, because I always post on Twitter when I'm going live, and occasionally I post assets and different art stuff, and very rarely some musings. Don't really engage with Twitter a lot. I just use it as an alert board more than anything else. You can only put so many pixels in a space, and the eye is only really able to digest so much sensory detail in one sitting. So you have to have gaps where your eye can, negative space, they call it negative space, where your eye has the opportunity to rest. Like if you, what's an example? Like MCU movies kind of slam their way through the plot. There's not a lot of rest time to digest what's happening. Compare that to Studio Ghibli, which has intentionally builds in these negative space moments inside of their films, so that the eye can just so that the audience can honestly just relax and let the world just have some drifting clouds for a few minutes before it dives into the next the next chunk of drama or threat to the characters. You have to have that downtime activity for you to be able to appreciate where it's proceeding through. And that's actually a really good analogy for current adventure design being produced by WotC, in that there's 100% urgency, 0% downtime. And you have to have that resting so you can just process and integrate. Like you can't just push new concepts. You have to elevate and then integrate. You have to gain new information and then let it sit so that it can sort itself out and settle and merge in with your other opinions and observations and personality, so that it becomes a part of who you are. If you keep pushing new down into your system without any break, you never have the opportunity to actually process and make use of the information that you're cramming into your experiences. We just have to slow down and let that shit breathe a little bit. Like, sleep is a thing. So building sleep into your adventures is like the Terminator, for instance, is the original Terminator movie. It's a combat chase movie. There's a killer robot that's trying to chase down a woefully outmatched prey, and they have to sleep. The robot doesn't have to sleep, but the characters do. So they have to sprint like hell to get enough distance ahead of the threat so that they can grab the sleep that they need. So there's just adrenaline, suicidal rush of violence and danger, and then when you break away, that's when you can take your break. You better relax while you can. Terminator 2 actually had a lot more downtime activity, as it were, baked into the storyline, because there's a lot more travel involved. So it allowed, as they're moving from one scene to another, it's not just a linear progression down the highway trying to outrun the threat. It has a more complex storyline, because there's more like fetch missions, like fetch quests or targets, like go assassinate the computer developer at Cyberdyne, go get the artifacts from the safe. Go find your friends to equip yourself with the right type of tools down in Mexico before going back to California to execute the next objective. All the while also trying to run away from the killer robot when you get within dangerous vicinity of it. So it knows what objectives the humans have, so it lurks in those areas where it knows the heroes are going to go searching for MacGuffins. So it can afford to be patient, because it knows that the characters are going to deliver themselves to the threat. So the threat can be patient, and the villain can build out traps and plots to ensnare the character that make for interesting encounters. So that downtime benefits both the characters as well as the NPCs. And as long as your NPCs are mortal and they need sleep, then it creates a fair balance between the progression of the characters and the progression of the villains. It's when you get the higher and higher tiers of threat that you're dealing with demons and angels and stuff that don't necessarily need to sleep. Although in D&D, angels and demons need to eat and sleep and breathe and drink. Unless their monster stat block specifically states do not need to eat or breathe, etc. Otherwise, you can poison a devil by, well, I think it's immune to poison, so that's a bad example. But you can catch it while it's sleeping and sneak attack it and potentially, shove a pillow over its face and suffocate it. That's what a chump way for a demon to die, to get snuffed out with a pillow while you're trying to sleep. That's like, well, if there were an afterlife for demons beyond the afterlife the demons already live within, they would certainly be mocked. But as you gain power in fantasy games, you typically are fighting more and more supernatural type creatures that have less obstacles for them to be able to achieve their goals, and can start exploiting the human weaknesses. But you can't lean too hard into that. I had a level 1 to 20 campaign where the characters basically built a city over the course of like 8 years. There's a lot of downtime activity that we fed into that. But once the city was built, I as a DM started targeting different settlements and merchant locations and supply chains and resource centers like forests and mountains and stuff. And the team had to constantly chase after the threats coming from the villains that I created, because they were all demons that could plane shift. So they could pick a location that they were aware of that was important to the characters and attack two of them at the same time. So the team was constantly having to choose, what are we willing to lose so that we can go fight and protect something else. And they hated it. It was an utter failure because the heroes could never feel like they were getting ahead or making progress. They felt like the choices that they made, they realized that that no matter what decision they made, it was going to end up being a bad deal because they were going to lose something important to them. And that's an example of the DM needing to be as dumb, or make the threats as dumb as necessary to not frustrate the characters. Like if you can challenge them, they appreciate. Like when you're playing tug of war with a dog with its favorite rag, and it's got it gripped in its teeth, and it's growling, and it's shaking its head, and it's raging against that chew toy. It likes you holding on and tussling its head around and wrestling with it because it likes the energy of it. It likes the expenditure. It likes the interaction and the engagement of the challenge. But like, if you as a human, if you just rip it out of its mouth every time, it's going to hurt its mouth. You're going to hurt its teeth, and it's going to begin fearing you playing with you. It's not going to want to because you hurt it. Because you don't let it get to do what it wants to do without being afraid it's going to be punished for following what play is supposed to be. That's what happens with little kids a lot. I mean, I'm no father, so I mean, you can tell me to shut up, any dads out there. But the thing about horseplay with kids is that it helps set limits. And you'll hear kids playing around, and then one of them starts to cry and stuff. It's not because they did anything wrong. It's because they're having to test their limits of what is okay and what isn't okay. And when somebody starts to cry, that's when you've crossed the line, and that's the opportunity to teach your kid, hey, don't be so rough. You went too far. You need to apologize and then play a little bit more gently, but have fun. So they don't feel scolded. They need to feel a little scolded so that the lesson sinks in, so they freaking learn something. But they shouldn't have to, they aren't grounded from playing. Then they're just punished for pushing their limits. You want to reward kids for pushing their limits. And people, adults are the same way. Most adults are just really big kids. I don't know if any of you have recognized that yet or not, but the same shit you do to kids, you can effectively do with adults. You just got to frame it differently, and they play with different types of toys. But tables of players is very much like a recess session amongst third graders. They're all going to have fun and games until somebody pushes a limit too far and then someone gets their feelings hurt. And then you have to have good... This is honestly something that should be established in session 0. What do we do when somebody is violating, feeling like their sense of space or safety is being violated? That's why I like a lot of those like flags or like phobias, fears, and distastes. Like, I don't want to see spiders anywhere in here. That sort of thing. Like that same conversation is like, okay, we pushed past a boundary that you had set. It was either ignored or forgotten. How do we address it? Just flying off the handle and acting like a victim is not the proper response to somebody potentially accidentally overstepping a boundary. It doesn't mean that you're not safe in that space anymore. It just means that there needs to be more education about how to properly engage each other so that you can be friends. And there's going to be a sense of scolding that happens during that process, but that is the natural process of learning when you're violating somebody's space. The natural natural emotion that goes with that lesson is shame, scolding. So when you feel that emotion, you don't have to be angry or sad about it. It's just acknowledging, I am recognizing a boundary that I didn't realize was there. And the only failure that you can possibly have in that instance is fighting it and blaming somebody else for the sense of embarrassment or shame that you may feel in the interaction. It's like, you just got to own it and get past it really easily. Just by taking ownership of the situation and finding ways to move forward through it without having to be the dog for the rest of your life. Anyway, apparently I'm rambling somewhere inside of... I don't know what space I'm inside of right now. Oh, that's what it is. It's DM lessons, like life coaching lessons from a lifetime DM. Basically what it is, because role-playing games is small team tactics, and it's small group synergy activities, like the stuff that corporations dream of building, like team building activities. Role-playing games is basically a series of team building activities driven by a plot line, I guess is probably the best way of putting it. Like if you wanted to become a corporate DM, that'd be a really good way of expressing it when you pitch it to the HR team that you're trying to sell, $500 hours for 6 high-level executives to learn how to play together nicely by literally learning how to play together. But I digress. The day job that I still have, I run a daily, I run a once a week campaign as well during a long lunch hour, and we have people from IT, accounting, marketing, and distribution. It's a fan club in the company, but it has the most diversity and department engagement of any of the activities the company hosts outside of like a company barbecue. But voluntary weekly fan club group activities. It is D&D is by far our most diverse audience. And it's cool to be able to have so many different departments working together. I don't really talk about the company that I work for. I just talk about the experiences I have at it or the people that I engage there. But that's an 18th level campaign right now. They all started off never having played D&D before, all interested in it. Group of 4, 2 of them are fans of Critical Role. One of them knows of role-playing games, and the other was a WoW and can't remember, Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic, MMORPG enthusiast. And they're all Magic the Gathering fans. So that's how I hooked into them in the first place, was Magic the Gathering. And it was like, you know, you guys play D&D, I was thinking about firing up a game. And they were all immediately, I'm in. No hesitation. We don't know how to play, but we are 100% in. And that's what started the campaign. And we are now 18th level, pushing our way probably in the next 6 months to the end of the campaign. And then we're going to probably do a Spelljammer, random asteroid, spelunking, resource mining campaign where I generate random asteroids. They pick one of them to choose. They then survey it, and if there's any sense of hostile creatures or something inside the asteroid, then they send in a kill team to cleanse the asteroid of threats. And then they send in a mining team to extract the resources that were found during the survey, whether it's like psionic crystals or like adamantine, mithril, like platinum, gold, that they can then convert into either a resource to sell, or it's just raw ore. I mean, it's going to be a resource. It's going to be raw no matter what. So they're going to have to end up selling off the resource because they're salvagers and miners. They don't build things out of. They're not smithies. But if they wanted to, they could eventually buy their own forges and start creating their own stuff from the content that they produce. And then they can start surveying for specific types of materials that they want. Like if they want to create psionic magic items, then they're going to have to seek out ore, like iron and mithril ore, and then they're also going to have to seek out kyber crystals or Sybaris crystals in the orbit. It's going to be in the orbit of the Eberron planet, in the tiers of Sybaris, which are just giant crystals hanging amongst asteroids that are basically like a ring around the planet. But instead of just being rocks and debris, a lot of it is just like raw psionic crystal energy. So there's shitload of like beholder aberration type stuff, like nightmare creature fuel that feeds off the psionic energy, makes their layers in these giant crystal chambers that allow their psionic power to resonate, opening up portals to other dimensions, all sorts of crazy crap that the team can end up running into while they try to prep the asteroid for mining. They have to get rid of these evil elements. And if they keep, and there's other pirates they can run across, and different factions and other groups that might try to sabotage their efforts. So a couple different modes of play there, and a lot of it's downtime activity based. So it's really a casual thing that they can pick at and not have to worry about. I'm not sure if I like how that branch is built. That's just way too jaggedy. I don't think that's a good branch. I need to get back on point. I feel like I'm losing touch of what the piece is supposed to be here. I'm not liking this language that I'm establishing here. So I'm going to go back through and try to simplify this stuff. Maybe I really need to take a step back for a moment here. Drop the opacity on this. And then put a new thing in so we can reconnect real quick what it is we're actually trying to do here. So let's do that. Here's Abrams. Let's go from the foreground and push inward. And we can use the same rules of branching that we had explored in the Eberron cartography a couple sessions ago. We were looking at like the forking and the thickness of the forks to be able to maintain the size and the weight of the branches that we're building out. Like this is too much here. And that's too much there. Pull those things in a bit. Yeah, good. Back on point. So that is a significant branch, and then let's break it. Build another branch like this. This is the process of me eating crow right now, because I was talking about how good I was at having to not go back and redo stuff, but I've just chosen to go back and redo this entire treetop. So I mean, take what I say with a grain of salt. I try to walk my talk the best I can, but more importantly, I really have to own when I can't. And steep in my shame. But once I get through with that, I can just get back to work. No ego. You just got to do what you got to do, you know? You just got to get done. You got to get gat. So funny. If we keep it simple like this, we should be able, honestly, we should be able to expedite this whole thing. I've made it so much more complicated than it needs to be. My muse just clicked in my head and says, no, you're doing it wrong. Do it this way. I'm like, oh? It's like, yeah. You're going to like this better. I'm like, damn it, muse, you are always right. It's like she can see the future or something and is just feeding me what she already can see. She's just tracing the future onto my page. I don't get to see it yet because I'm a third-dimensional creature that was born into a system of, well, entropy. So I only get to see the results after they happen. But muses in Olympus, they get to see it all before. Well, they see it all. They don't have to worry about time space so much. Now I gotta do this like 7 more times, and that's gonna be a pretty fucking good branch. So, yeah, let's not pat ourselves on the back quite yet, and let's just keep working. But I've established how thick this branch can be, and that's gonna be the thickest one because it's the most forward-facing of them all. So as long as all the flanking branches become consistently thinner in width, we should. Well, I mean, how else would it be thinner? Not the line weight, the thickness of the actual branches themselves here. Like that's that width, and this is that width. Like you can see, this is about 20%, maybe about 25% wider than what this is. So that's decent. So if I can make the next branch further back 25% the width of this branch, we'll see a consistent cascade of lessening in size that should fold out pretty well. But I have a pretty significant branch here, which means this branch needs to thin. Like this is thinner than this. This is actually more akin to this. But there's a branch here, so that caused a break in how thick this branch is here into a thinner and thinner and thinner branches. Like this branch here should actually be a little thinner than it is. So I can wibble that in like that. Clink. That works pretty good. We can put a branch like that. See, these branches are thicker than this branch, so I can actually thicken this branch up because it's not as thick as that one. So I can add some girth here, so it now has enough mass to support the weight of these branches that are ascending here. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'm actually going to clip that there. Excuse me. Yeah, like that. Let's pause and reflect. Yeah, go with that. Let's build another branch here. I'm gonna have what? Something like this. Oh my God, mints on that a little bit more, Kearney. Not really necessary right now. Thank you, though. Thank you. How are we doing on time? Been out for an hour or so. We'll go till 3 o'clock here in Seattle. So I got another half-ish hour. Don't need to push that too far. thin up a touch. And then I can get rid of that. Nope, I'm gonna chop it off here. A son chop. Yep, that's my last 20-minute timer. So we got 20 minutes left on the block, and we will be donezo for the day. And we'll be back on tomorrow morning to begin Spelljammer page production. Really excited about that. Yeah, so far so good. So what? It's a little thin there, so I either need to thicken it up here or here. So I think thickening here. Probably the proper course of action. Like that. Yeah, let's do that. song. I could swear we heard this maybe like 45 minutes ago. I think I have this track twice on my list. I ain't complaining. I don't mind having it twice on my list, but I'm just noticing that I don't think I should be here. I'm pretty sure this was the song we were playing with like 10 minutes into the session. Yeah. No. Not bad. Not the worst, not the best. Like a Pink Floyd song. Well, now I just want to listen to Momentary Lapse of Reason, because that's a freaking great album. I'll get demonetized if I slap it on, but that's why I paint off streams sometimes, because I just want to listen to my copyrighted music and not get a strike for it. That's what killed me on Twitch. I was constantly playing Tool and Pantera and Sepultura, Led Zeppelin, and I got demonetized pretty damn hard. Lots of strikes against me. So when I decided I wanted to take this a little bit more seriously, I'm like, well, I kind of burned my bridge with Twitch, so let's go to YouTube and get some royalty-free music. And here we are with Epidemic. The Evolution of a Fool. I don't know. Twitch is kind of shitting itself right now, as I understand it. So I guess that wasn't a bad decision. I think Google or Alphabet is going to have a little better business acumen than Amazon. Amazon doesn't always make really smart choices. Over corporatization, I think, is a good way of expressing where exactly Amazon is at in the life cycle of audience support. Like so much content on Amazon, like clothing in particular, is just garbage. A lie about what the product is. They'll say there's no polyester, but it's actually 50% polyester on the label. It's like, you guys are just making up things based on what you think I want to buy. Super lame. But that's what happens when we let them have complete market domination for years. They stop giving a shit. It's like when you're dating somebody. If you're completely reliant on it and they know it, they're not really going to be as attracted to you. As somebody that they have to, pound for pound, everything else being equal, the person that you have to fight to keep, as opposed to the person that's fawning over you, that person that you have, just like with the dog, the person you have to struggle with is the person that you're going to be more satisfied engaging with, because they're challenging you more. It's more engaging. It's more fun. Breathes that lifeblood into you. But I'm no pickup artist, so cheers. I just look gorgeous, that's all. If it wasn't for the crippling blindness, I'd say my life was pretty easy. But that's the thing. You take on severe flaws, so you get all sorts of benefits on your character sheet. I chose blindness in an era where it can't be fixed, and in compensation to balance my character sheet against everyone else, then I was given a wonderful personality and a gorgeous face. Be welcome to mock me openly. That is, I'm being tongue-in-cheek here. If the sarcasm isn't coming through. There. Yeah, that ain't bad. I think I want to thin this trunk up a little bit, like that. Yeah, so far, so good. So what, you know? Alright. Hippy shake. Let's keep rolling shit in here. So this is our next branch. Yeah, I like that outline. It needs to be thinner than this one because it's further back. So I think the actual size that I built it at here is pretty good. But this one's too thick. That's the problem I was having here. This branch is too thick. So I need to thin that one down. There's too many barbs and all these little poke outs. It's too frequent, it's too many. One or two here and there is interesting, but having it be a repetitive pattern becomes a feature of the tree that needs to be replicated across all the branches. Otherwise, it looks like a weird outlier, and that's the logic disappears. So, cannot continue and tolerate that. But I can thin this down. It feels about right. I think it should actually be a little thinner though. Sufficient. Let's go over here. Get that barb. I'm not liking it. I see now. I see now why I did that. Maybe I want to do that. I'm going to leave it clipped for now. Let's do that. Like that. Well, if this stream is like other streams, I'm going to have a bunch of people show up and say, hey, like 5 minutes before I stop. So let's see if that happens again today. I'm going to be on for about probably about another less than 10 minutes. How are we doing here, kids? Yeah, less than 5 minutes left. Maybe something more like that. That's good. This is an unnatural looking branch. What can we do to fix that? That's better. It's still not fucking great though. Still not great. Man, why am I futzing on that? What is my problem with this branch? What am I not appreciating about this structure? Not quite. Oh. Something like that, maybe? Oh, that's the problem I'm having. Because here's thinner than here, or it's not thick enough. So that's why my brain keeps melting on this. That's already better. Now that we understand the problem, we can get the ratio figured out. Nice. Okay, cool. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. 1, 2. Thickness is an issue. Punto. All right, let's grab all of this then. Aye, aye. All right, we'll be out of here in a minute. Merge down. Better, 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 better. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Not bad. Here. All right, we're not done, but we've made some progress. So I think we just have better line language in general. We have something that is going to fit the pattern better. And the trick, the next challenge that we'll have to face is how to properly get all of these branches to intermingle and entwine throughout the piece up in here without feeling like they're getting in each other's way. So we're just gonna have to work our way forward back on that. Well, actually, might want to work back forward on that. So once we establish a pixel thickness for this outline, this general bark language throughout here, we can establish that here in the foreground with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 major branches here, and then we can start thinning down the width of the line that we use as we move through the piece out here towards like maybe like, I think we're working on 3 pixels right now. Like, we could probably maintain 3 pixels out here, but like 3, and then 4, and then 5, like 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and then 7, 5, 4, 3. And we can go 8 and 7 to 4 to 2 as it arcs away from the trunk, so we can have thinner and thinner line language to express distance. I think that should work, but we shan't get to that today. We might actually. I don't know what my schedule's like tomorrow. I kind of do. I know that I'm going to be bouncing out of here. I got a plane to catch like at 5, which means I need to leave here at 2, so we have enough time to put some grease in our system to up our blood pressure. Generally, I find flying, if you eat greasy burger, like not so greasy that you have to shit yourself, but like a fried food, like fried or broiled, like meat, or like appetizer type food. That tends to, like cholesterol-y type stuff, tends to raise the blood pressure a little bit during the digestive process. So if you eat before you get on the plane, blood pressure rises. So when the plane hits high altitude and your blood pressure drops, then that spiked blood pressure keeps you even keel. So you don't have to worry about like dehydration or getting headaches or anything like that so much. But yeah, anyway, this is where we're at today. I'll be back on for probably an hour or so tomorrow morning, typical time, like 6-ish or so. And then I will be done for the week. And then I'll be back. So I'll be back tomorrow morning, and then I will be back again after the weekend, Tuesday morning. I'll have Tuesday off, and then I'll be back to my normal routine on Wednesday. So on Tuesday, I'll have some good stream time in the morning for more Spelljammer page art. Tuesday next week, we'll also have more martial powers development, and maybe some more Reclaimant in the afternoon. And then Wednesday will go right back into our normal routine of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mornings doing Spelljammer page art. Thursday night back into Eberron. Saturday back into Reclaimant. And maybe Tuesday instead of Reclaimant I'll do more Eberron stuff. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll be gone for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'll be gone for 4 days, and then I'll be back in. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for a couple hours. Then I'll be eat. Thanks a lot for hanging out. Arenico, thanks for the conversation. If you're new here, thanks a lot for swinging by. Follow me on Twitter to find out when I'm live in the future. Bell icon, like, subscribe, help me build my count to 1,000 subscribers. And we'll keep doing this stuff. This is a commission that I got recruited to build for a book cover. And burp. Yeah, we're just gonna keep building on this. So we'll figure out the line art, and we'll keep moving on from there. So I will see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot. Off button. There we go.